Hey guys, welcome to this episode of the Someone with a Goal podcast, the SWAG podcast. We go behind the people who are on their mission, who are on their grind, and who are making it hustle. Now, today's episode, I'm really fortunate to have another brother who is from the home country of New Zealand, really just out there killing. I've been watching his stuff and I came across him through a mutual friend of ours, Steve Paps. So Mac, man, welcome to the show.
Hey brother, thanks for having me, man.
Let's get into it, man. If you don't mind sharing a little bit about you, about where you come from, about who you are and where you are today.
I originated from the Philippines. I moved here 15 years old when I moved here. Even in the beginning, back in the Philippines, I've always found myself just searching for something as early as 12 years old, even 10 years old, to be honest. In terms of relationships, I started dating at 10. Everyone would say that's pretty early, but ultimately, I just found myself already searching for something at that point. And at 12, I started running businesses. So I would sell phones, accessories, clothing. Then I moved here to New Zealand and I started doing that too, with a bunch of stuff, whatever was trendy at the time. So I remember when vape was like a thing back in 2016, 2017, it came out and I was like, I'm going to jump on that, bro. Started selling it to kids, pretty much. Not kids, but people my age. I was a kid at the time. So I've always found myself in this hustle mode, man, just trying to make money. So ultimately I left school. So I never graduated, never finished high school, and went for like 50, 60-hour weeks at Burger King and then Domino's, just making money. And I'm not sure why, man. I'm making all this money for no reason, right? It took me a while to realize, man, that there was no point in having a lot of money if it's not going to anything that's like making me better, right? So that's when I started focusing more on going to the gym. Then that's where I found my love for it, my love for training, my love for the transformation. And for a while, man, I've been doing coaching with fitness. That started early on, and even throughout that, bro, I've been doing a lot of side hustles on the side. But that's the most consistent thing, like the coaching. That's the one thing that stayed throughout the years, even though I was trying all these different things. That's when I realized that's what I want to do. And the only reason I was trying these other things is because the coaching just wasn't making money. Then that's a whole rabbit hole, man. But what I found for myself is that when something is real, when something is like authentic, and when you're serving truth to people, it can be slow because a lot of people don't like truth. And it's not just, drop shipping and all that. It's not just serving courses and all that. You're actually getting into it with people and actually changing people's lives alongside them. I've been in that journey for years, and then that's when I got into what I do now, bro. So I do fitness coaching and business consulting, and it's just, regardless of the label, man, it's just to help people transform their lives one way or another.
Gotcha. Where are you in the scale, man? Are you eldest, youngest in your family?
I'm the youngest, bro. Careful the young energy, eh?
It's interesting, man, because normally the drive and that, that will to persevere and get shit done is from the eldest, but the youngest are holding it down, man. You mentioned that entrepreneurial drive, obviously from the Philippines, the totally different environment to what New Zealand is, right?
Yeah, bro, 100%.
What about the life there and the struggle coming up? Did that have some kind of involvement in your decision making?
I'm not going to say there was any struggle. If anything, we were well off. My mom and my dad was doing pretty good. I actually only found out a few years later that my mom was a millionaire, and she was very low key about it. And my mom was always hustling though. She worked for the government, but she was still running all these businesses, and it didn't click. I was young, bro. It didn't click right. And then it clicked to me like when I got older. I was like, that's why she was a millionaire. It was like she was working and she had shops where they were selling like kid stuff, pillows. She would still go to the seminars selling like skin products, and she would even hold garage sales in front of her house. So man, I think where I got my hustle from is just kind of seeing mom do it. It didn't seem like there was no pressure. You know what I mean? Like there's no pressure. It was just like she was having fun with it. She just loved talking to people, and just like she was never selling. People come to her and they're like, I need this. So it's like she was just always providing a solution to the problems. Yeah, man. I don't think I knew that at that age, but looking back to it now, it all kind of just makes sense.
That's killer, man, to know that your mom's an undercover millionaire, but you've seen the hustle. Transitioning to New Zealand, did you not finish school in New Zealand?
I dropped out in the Philippines, dropped out here.
I know the struggle of helping people with no money coming in, but when you got a family, it's a totally different kind of decision for a man. So talk to me about that, man.
If I'm being 100% with you, man, I got into coaching because I was sold the same lies everyone is being sold online, is that get rich fast, make 10K months, make 100K months, and someone who really loved money. If I'm being 100%, that's why I got into coaching. That was a main driver for me. The more I got into the journey, the longer I stayed in the game, the more I understood it wasn't about the money, and it started clicking. It's about service. It's about actually serving people. I've had in the past, man, I've had my moments where I was making 8K, 5K weeks, but it wasn't fulfilling. It was like what is it for? If it's not serving anyone better.
Yeah.
Because even when those money were rolling in, it was actually just paying off my bad habits, going out every night because I just because I can, doing a few substances here because I can. It took me a while, man. It's funny. The journey itself, it doesn't make sense as you're moving forward, but you look back into it and man, I think a big part of it was having a mentor, just being guided, man, being guided to that path because me being young in that journey was a whole different game. When I had my kids, bro, there were moments because one thing people don't understand about entrepreneurship, it's not all sunshine and rainbows. It's not consistent. It's not always that there's money coming in. That's entrepreneurship. There's a high chance I'll be making zero next week. For me, when I had my kids, massive fear, bro. I was like, man, I got to get a job. I got to do this. I got to do that. Big part of it is having a mentor and having a mastermind and like-minded people is that they bring me back to my senses and into this present moment. When you just learn how to live in the present, then everything is much more clearer. When you're not deciding out of fear, you're not deciding out of lack. Abundance is everywhere. And then you start seeing everything much more clearer. And that's like even a journey on its own for me to learn how to stay in the present, to catch my habits, my tendencies that brings me back to square one, catch my bad habits that comes up whenever I'm getting tested. Man, even this past few days itself, I've been feeling quite tested. And I think that's because I've set an intention for December to be my powerful month out of the year, the most powerful month out of the year. So I started getting tested this past few days. Like when I say tested, no energy, man, like absolutely low energy, no inspiration, no motivation. I just want to sleep. I just want to go back to bed when I get up. I don't want to train. I caught it. This was the same exact feeling that I would have in the past that would bring me back to bad habits, such as doing substances, such as going out and calling up the boys, you know what I mean? And then let's do this. Let's feel better. Let's get me out of this feeling. But I sat with it. And then I started doing what needs to be done regardless of how I was feeling this past few days. And that's when it clicked, bro. It's like, this is where you earn your stripes. Like this is where you earn your right to speak with conviction, like your right to speak to people and actually call people out of their bullshit as well. You know what I mean? And yeah, bro, ultimately in the coaching, you can't be a teacher, man. Like you gotta be a leader, and a leader leads from the front. So no matter how good my quotes are or my motivation are and my words, if I haven't lived it at least once, there's no power over it. It's just words.
100% resonate with everything you just said, man. You mentioned bad habits. What were some of those bad habits?
Oh man, a lot of them, bro. I would it's usually triggered, man, when I get into a new season. And when I say season, it's like, because you know how motivation is like seasonal. You've got like a good month where you're just motivated and you're just going for everything. So when I'm not in that season, in the past, I would find myself just calling out the boys and either going away for a weekend and just completely losing our minds doing whatever. That could be some LSD, some weed, some whatever it is, right? And ultimately, you're going back to reality, like after that trip of a weekend, and then you're just like, it's the same thing. You still got to deal with it.
Yeah.
It's like you just delayed the pain, you just delayed the lessons that you needed to learn. But the problem is when you delay it for longer, then the longer you are staying exactly where you are.
Yeah, man. 100%, man. Everything is just connecting with me, man. And especially the no income of the hustle. They preach it on the social medias as it's all money coming in. You don't know how many jobs I've had to, like contemplate. I've looked like coming up through my career. Maybe I should go back in those moments where I'm like, we got to knuckle down. It's either we get better in terms of the skill, acquire a skill, or we just don't back what we've been saying.
It's not even a fake it till you make it kind of thing. It's like you really believe. You have to believe your vision. You have to believe your dream. Like again, it's not fake it till you make it. It's believing it before it happens.
Yeah.
Right. Everyone, I see all of this manifestation online, but to not overcomplicate it, manifestation is just making the decision and taking steps towards it, meeting it halfway. Because we're not going to be given anything. Like no one's coming to save you, for example, like it's got to be you. Wherever you are, it's no one's fault. No matter what they say, it's no one's fault. You got to take responsibility for the fact of where you are. Just stop making excuses for yourself. That's the biggest thing. They just make excuses for where they are. And then once they make excuses for who they are, they try to make themselves feel better by doing what they got to do. Brings them back exactly to where they are. And it's a pattern, man. It's like a whole loop of just going back in life, in your life. You're just going back and forth. But the moment you're like honest with yourself, it's the best thing you could do, because that's when you actually grow. The moment you become honest with yourself, then you can see what you need to actually deal with. Because we're ultimately all dealt the same cards. As an entrepreneur, we're all dealt the same cards. The cards of, if you didn't come from money, you dealt the cards of, you got to figure it out. Like, you got to figure out how to survive as an entrepreneur and do whatever it takes. For me, man, like what you said, right? Like the amount of times I've felt like going back to a job, it's very tempting too, man. It's very tempting too, right? Because like the mind is very, very convincing. It's like, yeah, but that makes sense. If I just go back to a job now, then I can not worry about money, and then I can work on my craft better. But it's not at all like that. I know for a fact that once I get back to a job, I'm comfortable. Like the fear of not having money, or the fear of not making enough next week, is the driver. Like, that's the driver. As long as it's not driving you the other way, it's not driving you to the way that you're acting on the state of desperation now. As long as it's driving you towards acting from inspiration, then it's good. Like, it's fine. And a lot of it, man, it's just fear. It's just anxiety.
Yeah.
You know, it's that fear of what may or may not come tomorrow. But if you have enough, like if you actually just look at your life, like in this moment, not like 10 minutes from now, just in this moment, like you have a lot of things that you have everything you need, and actually more. I'm 100% sure you got a car. I'm 100% sure you got food, a bed, and you're not using any of those right now.
Yeah.
So in this moment, you have everything you need. And whenever I stay in this moment, it's powerful, man, because now I'm not in lack. Now I don't need anything.
Where do you draw the line between being grateful for what you have and being comfortable with what you have?
A lot of it, man, is not moving forward. I've had a lot of conversations the past few days with people telling me, man, I feel really successful and free. I don't think you do, man, because if you do, you wouldn't be on this call with me. You know what I mean? And that's when I caught up with it, bro. Like, everyone just tells themselves things to make themselves feel better. There's me being grateful for everything that I have, but it doesn't stop me from going for my goals.
Yeah.
Then there's those people that are grateful for what they have, but too comfortable with it that they've settled down. You only get this one life. You get this one life to live. I don't think settling down is the way to go at it. You're going to do the same thing for how many decades of your life? It just doesn't make sense. And I'm not saying that this should be for everyone. I mean, I am saying this should be for everyone, but the thing is, it's not for everyone. Some people are born to be an NPC, if what they call it, you know what I mean? Some people are comfortable with what they have and they think they're happy, and that's fine. But for the people who are saying they're comfortable with what they have but not doing anything about it, these are the people that actually needs to be waking up. Because no matter how many times you tell yourself in a day that it's fine, I feel successful, I feel free, I have everything I want, if your entire body and soul don't believe it, you're going to be miserable. That's where you realize, man, your truth. But again, if you don't face your truth, you're never going to move forward.
Yeah. I find that there's a lot of ebbs and flows with the entrepreneurial journey. And it got to the point like a couple of years back where the entrepreneur was a massive buzzword and everyone was wanting to be one and wanting to be successful. But then it was conflicting for me because you were getting 15-year-old coaches preaching life experience and they're sending all their motivational quotes. And I'm thinking, man, you guys have yet to live a life that is worthy of sharing a story. Obviously, with your clients, does it need to take a trigger or some kind of life event to shift that frame of mind for them?
Yes and no. Yes, in a way that we don't have to wait for the life event to happen. Actually, scratch now. 100%, bro, yes. We put my clients in intentional struggle, to say, intentional pressure, meaning we point you towards a way that normally you won't take, you normally won't walk. And ultimately, it's not just to get to the goal, man. It's to bring up the fears. It's to bring up that voice in your head that's been holding you back all these years. Because most of it only shows up when you're actually doing something, when you actually go in for something. Putting yourself in that intentional struggle, in that intentional anxiety or whatever feeling that you're feeling whenever you're going for something is the best way to grow. It's the best way to actually deal with it instead of waiting for it to come. And I've always been a firm believer with that. Like, instead of waiting for it to come, and that applies for everything, just go for it and see what happens. Like, I've always been that guy that just, it's a good and a bad trait to have. Just go for it and see what happens. I think a big part of it for me is because when I go for things, when I do things, when I go for a goal, I'm not really looking forward to the goal. I'm looking forward to what it's going to bring up. Is it going to bring up some abandonment issues or some trust issues? And then I get to deal with it. That's the best thing as an entrepreneur, bro. It's not actually just about growing the business. It's growing you. Because ultimately, you are the business in the beginning. Unless you have such a big company, you are the business. You don't build a business. You build the character that has that business. Do you know what I mean? You don't build a successful life. You build the you that has that successful life. So ultimately, I saw this at 19 years old. No matter how successful my business was, when I wasn't the person that had that business, it will always fall apart one way or another. And it's not because of losing clients. People think, my business is running because I'm losing clients or I've done this. No, it's because you're not built for it. You haven't spent the time on you to build yourself. So for my clients and I, when we go for goals, we are excited for the goals, but we're more excited of who we become in the process. I don't think I can exaggerate, bro, the excitement you feel when you've made a new decision. In every decision, you're not deciding if it's a yes or a no. You're deciding if you're becoming the person you want to be or stay as this person that you've been trying to change from. If you can just recognize that in every decision, that's what it actually means, then why would you want to decide staying exactly the same? And that's why it's exciting, man, because every moment is a chance for you to change your entire life. Yeah. Like your overnight success is going to take years. It's going to take years of decisions that you would have never made. So people see the overnight success, but they don't see the nights that was put in for years. And exactly what you said with a 15-year-old man, 15-year-olds, like I respect the grind and the hustle, but I've been told the same thing. Man, I was told the same thing when I was 15. Man, you've got years to put on, experiences to have. And my ego was like, nah, fuck that, bro. Like, nah, I got what it takes now. I didn't have what it takes, by the way. Like, I didn't. And that's why no matter how much I knew, it was never going to move forward.
Talk to me. Do you have any non-negotiables for yourself?
Training, brother.
Okay.
It's not negotiable to not train, to move daily, man. Anything. So obviously, as a dad, there are days I just can't go to the gym. Yeah. So as much as possible, lucky for me, man, gym is like 6 minutes away. So I get my 5 to 6 days a week. And when I don't, I at least get my walk in with my kids.
Yeah.
Movement is a big part of it, bro. I find when I don't move, everything else doesn't. when I say everything, and I don't mean like move to a point that you're putting in so much effort. Simple as walking, man. Simple as walking. Everything in your body is just moving in the body, and that's why it's a big part for me to train myself before training my clients. Because once I've trained, I've set a standard for today, and I've set a standard for today's clients. This past few days, I think I mentioned earlier, I've been having really low energy and motivation, but I've been showing up regardless. Yeah. And funny enough, my clients feel the same, low energy. So they wanted to cancel and reschedule. But because I showed up for myself, unless you're sick and unless you're dying, you're showing up. The only reason I was able to hold that standard for them is because I held it for myself. And the non-negotiables I hold for myself, man, it's so easy to talk. Yeah. But when it comes to actually walking, it's a whole different game. That's where you earn everything that you've been talking about in terms of leading, in terms of coaching. You have to earn the right to speak, man, to lead. Like, it can't just be like, oh, I went through a course for the last 16 weeks. You know what I mean? Strategies ain't got nothing to do with it. You have to go out in the field and get tackled and get beat up and you have to run. Like, I've always been a believer of you only need to know 5% more than the next person to lead them, but you got to make sure that you keep that 5% gap.
You also mentioned mastermind, man. So how important is it for you to be in an environment of go-getters and who are on their mission? How much of that's a motivation for you?
Massive, bro. It's very important for me. Main reason is I don't go into the masterminds to get anything or to feel good. I get into the masterminds to open up. In our everyday life, at least for my everyday life, you don't get a lot of people having this type of conversation. Like growth conversation. Everyone's too busy talking about the weekend or 3 years ago or whatever. You don't always get this kind of conversations. For me, I hold this space for this type of conversations for my clients, for people. I love it when someone holds it for me. You know what I mean? And I think for the masterminds, that's what it does, man. It's not just a transaction. It's literally people sitting together, sharing how they see life from their own eyes. That shit's like valuable. That's transformative, man, because we are very limited to our own eyes, to how we perceive things. So when you get into a mastermind, bro, the perception that people give is very valuable. And you may take what you may take. Some of it might not resonate with you and some of it may. Ultimately, it opens up space for you to express. And for me, what I'm finding, man, is when I speak and I just stay on flow and not have to think about what I'm trying to say, I surprise myself sometimes. Like, I would say something that I hear for the first time myself. You know what I mean? So that kind of, I was like, man, like subconsciously, it's always been in there. And that's why it's important to make sure you're planting seeds in people and allowing people to plant seeds in you, ultimately, whatever that looks like. Because I remember my mentor telling me the same thing for 5 years, man, for 5 years. And it only clicked 5 years later. But the moment that clicked, everything shifted. And I think that's what I mean by it don't matter how much motivational quotes you have, if it's just to motivate you and not to actually to actually change you. Because a motivation, man, they are life hacks though. Like, let's be honest,
Yeah.
motivational quotes are real. They are life hacks, but they're only as real as you take action on them.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, do you just read them and feel good and then lay down and do nothing again? Or do you actually read them and understand and embody it and start living it?
Yeah.
You know, because it's not, I'm just going to say it's not that easy. I say it's not that hard, but it is hard for some people. But when I say it's not that hard, I'm talking about it's not that hard to embody who you want to become. You just got to be decisive. You actually just got to want it bad.
Yeah. I think it's those short bursts of dopamine that you get from the motivational quote or the motivational video, but then you scroll to the next video, which says the same thing. And then you keep scrolling and then you end up wasting time and you feel bad where you should have just gone out and executed what you said you're going to do.
Yeah, 100%, man. 100%. And I think social media is building people for that. Like, I kind of want to blame social media for that too. It's, they made TikTok and then all of a sudden our attention spans went lower in this past few years. You know what I mean? As much as it is the social media's fault, it's also our fault ultimately, because it is up to us what we put in our body, into our minds, what we consume ultimately, you know, from food all the way to contents, to videos and songs. Like, I don't think people realize how much like the type of playlist you have plays a massive impact in your life. I have a friend, not to name names, but I have a friend who's still listening to XX and Billie Eilish from like years ago, and they wonder why they're feeling depressed.
Yeah.
Like, you listen to depressing songs, man, you're gonna be depressed. Like, that's like simple maths. You put in bad food into your body, you're gonna feel like shit.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So it's very big for people to be aware of what they actually consume, people's energy, people's time, who they hang around with. You know, they say that if you hang around with 5 millionaires, you're going to be the sixth. It's 100% true. People's energy rub off on you. Like, it's an energy thing, man. It's all energy. Like, how you spend it, how you invest it, and what energy you take in is what's going to be a part of your reality, right? So you got to be very conscious of what you take in.
100% agree with that whole premise, man. Just want to transition into family life, man. Obviously, you got a partner, you got a wife. Talk to me about her support during this period, because I know the strength of a supportive partner is, you know, that's beneficial for any person on their mission.
I'm very grateful for her. She checks me, man. She checks me, and she's very straightforward with me. She don't walk around eggshells. She gives it to me straight, bro. She's very religious. I'm very spiritual. So the teachings are pretty much the same, right? Sometimes we lock horns on beliefs, but it doesn't matter, because ultimately the point of living is the same for us. We may not believe the same God, we may not believe the same thing, but we believe in the same principles. We believe in the same values. When I had moments of thinking of going back to a job, she would check me, bro. She would be like, if that's what you want to do. And every time someone says that to me, man, I'm just like, I'm sharing because I want your opinion. And she's like, no, if that's what you want to do. But what she's doing there is just getting me thinking. My support is great, bro. Like, there were times in the past I just couldn't get her gift at all, providing for a family, for 2 kids. There were just times we couldn't get her a gift, but she doesn't care. Like, a simple rose, a simple chocolate bar, a simple back rub. Like, it's the little things. And her support in this entire journey has been massive, bro, because she would sit me down. Like, we've had this time for an hour. I was complaining about a client and she just checked me on that. She's like, it's not your client's fault. Like, some people are just not ready for that journey. Some people are just not this or that. And that, my ego was checked, bro. Like, when I say check, it was like brought down to another level. And it's beautiful when someone can do that for you, man.
Yeah.
It's beautiful when someone can do that for you, because we all need that, especially in this journey of entrepreneurship. When we start going for things, obviously we're going to think we are the shit, because we are the shit. But sometimes the ego takes over. When we're unconscious, the ego takes over and it starts driving. So having someone that you're with every day just check your ego is powerful, man.
So that's one thing every driven person or man specifically is confronted with is their ego considerably, man. Ego can take you places where you shouldn't have gone. Talk to me about what the future holds for you. What's the bigger vision? What's the bigger goal? What's the end goal for you?
That's a very good question, man. I haven't thought about it in a while. Man, the end goal has always been the same, brother. Free, travel the world with my family, successful enough. When I say enough, could mean so many things. It could mean something different right now and something different in the future. But for now, what it means to me is successful enough is that ultimately my partner don't have to work. Set up a legacy, bro. Like set up a legacy, and not material things. Like I don't want to be a millionaire or a billionaire to leave for my kids. I would rather my kids be left with the skills and the awareness and the mindset that I gain in this lifetime. That's going to be much more powerful than anything material, because materials are always going to be there for anyone to take, for anyone to buy, for anyone to, and not everyone has the mindset to get it, to build that character, to achieve. The end goal is to make sure that I've created a legacy that will still be changing people's lives beyond my grave, ultimately my kids. Because if I don't need them carrying my legacy. They carry their own legacy, man. Yep. As long as I've helped build their foundation mindset wise, how they deal with life, how they see life, so that whatever cards they're dealt, they can play with it with a poker face, man.
Love that, man. Love that. For our audience out there, Mac, who's watching this, who may be looking to do something different for next year, right? To maybe make more money, or become fitter, become healthier. Where would you, let's say, for example, if they wanted to get into your space, they're looking to become a coach and starting to help people, where would you recommend they start?
Man, I would definitely start with being honest with yourself, bro. People can't seem to be honest with themselves, man. It's very a big part of growth, man, being honest with yourself. Because when you're lying to people, you're never lying to anyone. I think a big part of it is our reality is our reality. Everyone has a different bubble. Right? This bubble is my reality. Your bubble is your reality. So how you see me isn't my reality, and how I see you is not my reality. But ultimately, how I live my life is my reality. For me, man, being honest with yourself is the best way to start. If you've been honest with yourself enough to know that you want to do something, because everyone has an idea, bro. Everyone has an idea to get fitter, to make more money, to become more successful, to live a life that they've been dreaming of. Everyone has an idea, but the moment it comes to taking action, the first step to make that happen, everyone folds, right? So if you really want to start, whatever that goal is, you want to get fitter, you want to start your business, you want to live a successful life, start by taking action, because most people know what they need to do. Everyone knows what they need to do. Everyone knows what that next action is, whether that's to step into the gym, whether that's to understand their brand, whether that's to even talk to a coach or a mentor, right? Take that first action and see where it leads you. I'm always gonna go for that. See what happens. See where it leads you, because there's no one path for everyone, brother. Like everyone's life and everyone's story is so different and subjective that you actually have to walk it to find out what the story holds for you. If you just want to start, bro, just start. Check that ego, man, because a lot of the times the main reason people don't even want to take the first step is they've already took themselves out of it before they even get into it. If you want to start something next year, I'll tell you, start it now. What is up with this New Year's resolution bullshit, man? Like, start it now, because the year is a human construct. It doesn't exist. We all really have now. If time didn't exist, well, by the time it doesn't actually exist, but if time didn't exist, dates didn't exist, what do you have? Nothing now.
I was going to say, I think ultimately it comes down to that one, which is a decision. Just lock in the decision, commit to the decision, and then the journey is going to be fucked up, man. The journey is fucked up.
Yeah.
Commit to, regardless of how the highs and the highs and the lows and the lows, the decision, you made a commitment, and then you surround yourself with other people who are on who've made the same decision, who are going through that fucked up journey. And then you guys can then bounce, hey man, going through some shit. Okay, up in there. Let's get through this together.
That's it. That's it, man. I think that's an important part too, man. So like, and I say this because I've worked with a lot of mentors and different coaches, and you have to be clear on what you need. Yeah. Everyone just gets into courses or like hire mentors and coaches without actually understanding what they need. And a lot of coaches out there and mentors, man, they're not true, man.
Say it, man.
They're not true, bro. I'm trying to find the word for it. Some coaches and mentors out there, man, they're not true. Like for me to work with you, like I have to be clear, like if I can actually help you. Most coaches, most entrepreneurs, most mentors are focused on making money, that even if they know this probably won't help you, they'll put you in a course anyway. They'll work with you anyway. You know what I mean? And then make you feel like it's your fault that you're not moving forward. But you gotta find someone that aligns with you, with your personality, with who you are. I don't know if you're familiar with Wes Watson.
Yeah, man.
You can't work with Wes if you're a very conservative person. You know what I mean? Like no matter the promises he makes, that's what I mean by you have to, if you're going to want to work with someone, you're going to have to find someone that you align with, because it makes the journey much more easier. Be clear what you want, bro. Like 100%, like make a decision and be clear on what you need. Like, what do you need for this next step? Is it you need to work on your mindset? Is it that you actually just need a strategy or a blueprint to start your business? Like being clear will lead you towards the right person to guide you.
Yeah.
But if you're unclear, your uncertainty, it's just going to lead you to an uncertain person. When you are faced with the wrong person who just wants to make money, they're not going to care. All these courses that people sell, you're going to make 10K at the end of it, 10K months, 50K months, 25K months. I'm not saying they're not real. They are, but only 3% of the people who go into them actually succeeds. So how come a strategy that works for 3% don't work for everyone? It's because it's not for everyone. But that guy's not going to tell you that.
Exactly.
You know what I mean?
Because everyone's definition of success is different. If you go to Wes Watson, his definition of success is this, and your definition of success is you just want to make 10K, there's going to be disalignment, unalignment, right? There's other people out there who goes, Q, I want to become a millionaire. I'm not one, so I can't coach you on that. I'm on my journey to become one. Now, if you want to become, I've got millionaire connections. I can connect you with them. You know, they're there. So I can direct you in that regard. But if you're like starting off and your journey is to get better overall, just make money, look good, feel good, have great relationships, build great connections, just holistically as a full person, because that's eventually what life is. You can have a six pack, but if you're broke and if you're not providing for your family, man, then it's just all aesthetic, right? It's just looking good.
Yeah.
Again, if you're a multimillionaire and you're fat as fuck and you don't have any energy and you're a piece of shit and you treat people like a piece of shit, again, misalignment of your life. It's not going to be perfect. You know, we're on our mission to be better.
100%, bro. Exactly what you said, man. I think that's a big misconception. People want a successful life, but they talk about one area. But life isn't one area. It's not just business. It's not just a relationship. It's not just health. It's not just, it's everything. When you want a successful life, you have to have the capacity to work on all areas, whatever that looks like. And that's why you build the character, man. You don't build a business. You don't build a relationship. You don't build the health, or you build your character so that it can be better for all of this, for all of these areas. Because exactly what you said, I've seen a millionaire who's fat and miserable and treats their family real as shit. Because how you do one thing is how you do everything. There was this one guy who was in his jet and he was being interviewed, and he was like, man, if I knew this is what it would take to become a billionaire, I wouldn't have done it. And he said he lost his family, his partner, his kids, obviously being driven, probably didn't have time. And that's the thing, man. It's not even, it's that they can't, it's they don't know how to. It's not that they can't deal with the family, because they're so focused on this one thing that they think this is everything. And I know this because I say this because I know it. I've been there. I've been in a point where all I cared about was making money, business, becoming successful in that area. A year and a half ago, it clicked to me that I want a successful life, not a successful business. That's a part of it. And that's when I start getting into self-development. I got to elevate myself enough to have more capacity, because ultimately you need to expand your capacity to be able to deal with more, because life doesn't get easier. You just get stronger. Same thing, same analogy in the gym. The weights don't get lighter, you get stronger. So the point of developing yourself, self-mastery, right? That's the industry we're in. To master yourself. The point of self-mastery is to ultimately master your mind, master your body, all these essentials of yourself. It's mastering the mind ultimately. Because that's the key, right? That's where self-awareness comes in. Is you need to become very aware of yourself, right? You have to become aware of yourself in order for you to see your tendencies, your bad habits when they come up, so that you don't fall victim to them. For you to grow, you have to be aware, man. As I'm talking to you right now, I can see my thoughts trying to find something meaningful or powerful to say. If you can just see that mind, then you don't become subject. You just got to play the observer, man. Observe the observer. Observe the thing that's observing your thoughts.
Got one more question just to bring it home. General advice to your younger self, right? So how old are you?
I'm 22 at the moment.
Yeah, 22. Right. So let's go for like, say, 18. So your 18-year-old self. And then if you're coaching 30-year-old male, it came to you for life advice, and then a 65-year-old male as well. Those three different stages, what would your advice be to them?
I love the ages too, because I actually had clients in those ages. I had one at 70, one at 42, and one at 15. I'll tell you the same thing I told everyone. Master yourself. That's funny, man. When I had my daughters, bro, when I actually had my second daughter, because I wasn't there for my first one, I didn't know my partner was pregnant. Actually, we weren't together at that time. So she found out she was pregnant 5 months after, and I met my first daughter at 6 weeks. But this second one, I was there for the entire journey. When that baby came out, bro, nothing mattered. Nothing mattered in that moment. This is life right here, what it's supposed to feel like. And that's why everyone's going for the parties, for the drugs, because they don't feel anything in that moment. You can achieve it right now. Like, as we're talking, nothing matters in this moment neither. Man, going back to your question, what would my advice be is to master yourself. If you're 70 years old, you've lived a great life. But guess what? You can live a better life. It all goes down to you, ultimately, man. There's no one else. There's no one else in this world. It's just you.
Perfect way to end it, brother. Thank you so much. Hey, where can I get more information on you and your services?
It's just on my Instagram, brother.
One swag to another, man. Love your work. And,
Cheers, brother.
Definitely a huge fan of what you're doing, brother.
Appreciate it, man. I actually came across your account, bro. I was watching one of your podcasts with Steve, right? I actually thought you were Filipino for a second day.
Oh man, I get that all the time. I throw it out there, man. I'm like, oh man, what are you? I'm Spanish, and so but yeah, man, I'm mixed. I'm Samoan, and my dad's Japanese, so it's
true. Hey, at least you fit any ethnicity, bro. You can be anything.
Oh man, that's us, man. Filipinos. Thanks, man. Appreciate you, brother.
Cheers, bro. Thank you for having me, brother. Much love.